management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot to get to today and go over. We got some very special guests that are going to be joining us in studio. And, the latest on the CEO shooting. We'll be talking about that and the latest on the suspect that is behind bars. More fallout, the Daniel Penny verdict. We'll get to that as well. Bill Clinton on The View today, saying he wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden pardoned his wife, Hillary Clinton. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And coming up here in just a few minutes, Professor Anthony Zenkis is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. He's a professor at Columbia and Adelphi. He has no problems with people making jokes and memes about CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson's death. I have a problem with that, but I wanted to get into a discussion with him about that. So we'll be talking about that in a few. And then coming up at the bottom of the hour in studio, one of my good friends, you know him, of course, from the hit reality TV show Tanked. He's also a huge Donald Trump supporter. So I know we're going to get into it in studio and have a good debate, good conversation. Brett Raymer is going to be joining us in studio a little bit later on in the program as well. So certainly looking forward to that. You know, I want to start with this story first, if I may. So if you don't know who Caitlyn Clark is, you might be living under a rock, but that's okay. Some people aren't big sports fans. I understand. Even if you're a casual fan, you should know who she is. So Caitlyn Clark, Rookie of the Year, one of the best female basketball players in the world, a lot of hype, well-deserved, coming out of college, and then playing in the WNBA for, I believe, the Indiana Fever. Caitlyn Clark got a little roughed up last year. Some hard fouls. I think some players are very jealous of her popularity, and that's unfortunate. However, I've always said this about Caitlyn Clark, even though I'm not a huge WNBA person. I've always said this about Clark. She handles things with grace and class. She always seems to say the right things. And yesterday, not an exception to that. So Caitlyn Clark made some statements yesterday about black athletes. And she said in an interview with Time, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. Now, I have absolutely no problem with that. I think those comments that she made were very classy, appropriate, and she's 150% correct. You look at the NBA and the WNBA, predominantly filled with black athletes. And what is she doing? She's saying there's something called white privilege. I think most people would agree with her. And I think people that don't think we don't have white privilege are usually people that are bigots, that are racist in nature. And then she's just trying to lift black athletes. There's nothing she said that was wrong. There's nothing she said that was woke. Literally, nothing. I don't have a problem with anything she said. And again, Caitlyn Clark has handled everything, as far as I'm concerned, in her career with nothing but class and dignity. And she's a very bright young woman, and she's going to be a star in the WNBA for her entire career, and she deserves it. So what is she doing? She's lifting black athletes. Boy, what a horrible thing to do. Well, you know what? If you're a Charlie Kirk, you have a problem with it. And what Caitlyn Clark is doing is exposing how racist and bigoted in nature some of these people are. Charlie Kirk said, quote, Caitlyn Clark is getting very bad advice. The whole country's rejecting wokeism and anti-white ideology. She has a chance to stay neutral and failed miserably. Her handlers saw this as a chance to keep woke alive. Too bad. She's an amazing athlete who totally missed on this one. Now, if you're Charlie Kirk, even if there is racism and bigotry, and even if there is white privilege, even if Charlie Kirk disagrees with that, which I think most people would agree, He just would stay neutral because he never defends black people. If you look at Charlie Kirk, his Twitter page is very similar to Fox News in that every single time you see a black person committing a crime, let's talk about that. But then when black people do great things, Charlie Kirk doesn't want to talk about that. And here you have Caitlyn Clark, who's lifting black athletes. That's exactly what she's doing. I think that's a great thing. Now, if you're a bigot or you're a racist, if you're somebody like Charlie Kirk, you're going to think that's a bad thing, right? That's not good. And then there's Megyn Kelly, who's another bigoted moron, who's transphobic, racist, and in my opinion, a talentless right-wing buffoon. She says, quote, "Look at this. Clark's on the knee, all but apologizing for being white and getting attention. Oh, please pay attention to the black players who are really the ones you want to celebrate. Condescending, fake, transparent, sad." What is fake and what is sad about what Caitlyn Clark said? She said the foundation of the WNBA and the players have made the league what it is. She talked about the fact that she does have white privilege, didn't apologize for being white. Didn't apologize at all. So I don't have a problem at all with what Caitlyn Clark said, and I don't know why anybody would, unless they're bigoted in nature and they're a racist. But you notice anytime anybody raises black athletes or just defending black people in general, it could be a BLM protest, it could be this situation where a famous white athlete raises lifting black athletes. Why is it always the far right that has a problem with it? I'm just curious. I'm just asking the question. Why is that? Have you ever heard Charlie Kirk defending black people? Have you ever heard somebody like a Megyn Kelly asking, why didn't Donald Trump hire more black people within his administration? Have you ever heard anybody on the far right say we need equal rights and equal pay for African Americans and minorities in this country? No, of course not. That stuff is always coming from the left, and the right will call it woke. DEI hire. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear on this. A DEI hire code word from the far right is just another way of them using the N-word, in my personal opinion. Now, they'll deny until the cows come home, right? They'll deny. But the reality of the situation is, if you have a problem with what Caitlyn Clark said, chances are you're probably a MAGA supporter, and chances are you're probably a bigot. You know, and I think about Jordan Neely's family. And I think about all the people that are attacking his family on the far right. White people. What a shocker. Where were they when he needed them? Why was he homeless? But they have no idea what they're talking about. And they have no idea because his family has been open and talked about how he's been in and out of facilities, and they tried to get him help, and they tried to push him to get more help, and that their home was always open to him. So the people that are attacking Jordan Neely's family are the same people that have attacked George Floyd's family. By the way, George Floyd's daughter living without a father now. Regardless of who George Floyd was or what he did in his lifetime, George Floyd's daughter will always have money, but she will not have a father. Okay? Jordan Neely was still a son, a brother, an uncle. Jordan Neely did some bad things in his life, and he broke the law. But if you listen to right-wing conservative talk and you listen to right-wing radio, they'll paint Jordan Neely out to be a rapist, a murderer, you name it. Well, Jordan Neely is dead. Now, I'll speak for myself on this one, but I can tell you right now, God forbid, if an immediate member of my family was murdered and put in a suitcase when I was 14 years old, I'd be really screwed up my entire life. That's not something you ever get over. We've all had, for the most part, traumatic things happen to us in our life at one point or another. We all have a story to tell. And that doesn't mean it gives people the right to assault people and to harass people. But Jordan Neely was somebody that was extremely mentally disturbed. He was schizophrenic. He was homeless. And he was very, very troubled. But if you want to come at me with an argument that Daniel Penny is a hero, and you're hearing that from alt-right MAGA morons, then I ask you a very simple question. I'll ask you a few questions. First of all, when everybody was out of the subway, why didn't Jordan Neely let him go? At the time where he was unconscious and people were out of the subway, why didn't he let go of the chokehold? That's question number one. Question number two. At no point after the paramedics had arrived and they tried to resuscitate Jordan Neely, when Daniel Penny, in those moments, was smiling, according to some witnesses and testimony, and even when he went into the precinct and was interviewed, not one time did he ever ask if Jordan Neely was okay. Not one time did he ask, is he alive? He called him a crackhead. Why is that? Why is that? Now, I don't know how you guys feel, but if I had put somebody in a chokehold claiming self-defense, and then an hour or two later I was interviewed, I would say, what's his status? Is he dead? Is he alive? Why didn't Daniel Penny ever ask that question? I think it's a very fair question to ask. Why do some of you out there have such a problem with Caitlyn Clark and the statements that she made? Why is it as soon as she tries to lift African Americans, in this case, black athletes that play in the WNBA, why all of a sudden do some of you have a problem with that? Why? Why is it the Charlie Kirks out there? Why is it the Megyn Kellys out there and those on the far right want to attack a white athlete for praising black athletes and lifting black athletes? Why do you have a problem with that? I will open up the phone lines early today before my guest comes in studio, and I will ask you all that question because help me understand it. What did Caitlyn Clark say that was so bad? Claiming that there is something called white privilege and that the league and a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players in the WNBA. What is wrong with lifting black athletes up? And what is wrong with admitting that there is something called white privilege? Why do some of you have a problem with that? The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. And if you're just joining us, besides talking about Caitlyn Clark and the statements that she made, we're still talking about the Jordan Neely fallout, of course. And I call it fallout because there's a lot of people that are very, very upset. And if you're worried about or concerned about the latest when it comes to this shooter, the CEO shooter, Luigi Maggioni, if you also look at a lot of the statements on the far right, they will lead you to believe that those on the left are all praising this guy Luigi as some sort of hero. That is not the case. If you go on social media, you're always going to find crazies on both sides of the aisle that are going to say very, very stupid things. That's par for the course. That's going to happen all the time. That's par for the course. But I haven't seen or heard one prominent Democrat, not one, Not one prominent Democrat that has said, boy, that guy Luigi, what a hero he is, or condoning the cold-blooded murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. I haven't heard one Democrat, not one, that has made any statements even close to that. It's a lie. Quite frankly, it's a blatant lie, and it's just not true. It's not true. So again, the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation, the number is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation. We're going to take some phone calls on the other side of the break. Why is it that the far right have such a problem with a white person lifting black athletes? That's exactly what Caitlyn Clark did. Why is it that so many on the far right have a problem with that? I'm battling people on social media. The fact that Caitlyn Clark is lifting black athletes and so many people are up in arms. Oh, I'm never going to watch a Caitlyn Clark game again. Oh, I can't believe she said that. Oh, my God, she said there's white privilege. Number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with your phone calls on the other side. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Arte Museum Las Vegas showcases works inspired by nature under the theme of eternal nature. The exhibition incorporates both the natural landscapes and the cultural backdrop of the city that amounts to a completely immersive experience. Visitors can also enjoy the Arte Tea Bar for a unique tea house experience. Arte Museum Las Vegas, 3716 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Bend Harbor. Visit lasvegas.artemuseum.com.
Get ready, football fans. The Los Angeles Rams are back, and they're hungrier than ever. In the city of angels, where stars shine bright, a new chapter unfolds on the gridiron. It's a tale of determination, camaraderie, and heart-stopping action. Buckle up, because the Rams are about to electrify the NFL. All Los Angeles Rams games can be heard right here in Las Vegas on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM, sponsored by Silver 7 Hotel and Casino.
The ultimate Vegas extravaganza with Terry Fader. One man, 100 voices, 1,000 laughs. Come experience an immersive journey of comedy, music, and parody songs as Terry Fader, the world's top ventriloquist, takes center stage at the Strat Hotel Casino and Tower. Be prepared to be mesmerized by Fader's incredible talent as he brings to life a cast of characters who showcase the iconic songs that define the soundtrack of our lives. Terry Fader, one man, 100 voices, 1,000 laughs.
At The Human Bean, our mission is to serve up specialty coffee and smiles with a bean on top. With a bean on top is more than just a delicious chocolate-covered espresso bean. It's our way of saying thank you and of seeking to make your day, one drink at a time. Have you had a bean on top moment today? The Human Bean with 2 Las Vegas locations, 5602 West Charleston and Lindell, and 5265 Camino El Norte and Washburn. Twilight Zone Mini Golf is the premier destination for family fun. Travel to the 5th dimension with glow-in-the-dark mini golf, bowling, and arcade games. You and your family can count on having sky-high fun. Twilight Zone Mini Golf, 3645 Las Vegas Boulevard South on the first floor of the Horseshoe. For more information, visit sci-fi minigolf.com. That's SYFY minigolf.com. Lee Canyon is Las Vegas's nearby ski and snowboard escape. Less than an hour from the Strip, experience great snow and terrain for all ability levels. And oh, the stunning mountain scenery. We believe in skiing for all, with lift tickets starting at just $14. And kids under 12 ski free. The season runs from November to April, sometimes May. So get skiing now. Learn more at LeeCanyonLV.com. Since 1949, Norm's restaurants have served up classic comfort food and unbeatable value across Southern California. And they're now open in Las Vegas at 4605 West Charleston at Decatur. Enjoy favorites like the Bigger, Better Breakfast, T-Bone Steak Trio, and more. Norm's is finally open in Vegas at 4605 West Charleston at Decatur. Visit norms.com for more information.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. A quick programming note. If you support the show, you enjoy what we do, then we ask that you please check out the website, pushingthelimits.live, where we sell merchandise up there, shirts, hats, beanies. And if you want to donate, there's a donate button there right on the front page. We appreciate your support in advance. Whatever you can afford, we appreciate. And we ask you to also subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm happy to announce we have surpassed 50,000 followers on YouTube, which is awesome. So I appreciate that as well. So check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. If you're just joining us, what we have been discussing, well, we've been talking about Caitlyn Clark's comments about white privilege. We've also been talking a little bit about the latest in the CEO shooting and the shooter who is behind bars at the moment. Some really bizarre circumstances there. I want to get into Nancy Mace here before I take some phone calls. Because Nancy Mace is claiming that she was the victim of a physical assault yesterday at around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when Mace was asked about this, she made a claim to Capitol Police saying that the police claiming that she made a report that she was assaulted, that she was accosted by somebody, and that man has been arrested. Now, I want to see video, and we'll get more into detail on what they're claiming, but I want to see video of this assault. Why am I saying that? Well, I tend to believe victims when they claim that they're the victims of a crime. I claim to always believe them, except for somebody like a Nancy Mace, who in every interview talks about how she was the victim of a sexual assault when she was a teenager. No police report. She didn't tell anybody, apparently. But yet she brings it up in literally every single interview, and she supports a 34-count adjudicated rapist. So Nancy Mace, I know that there's been an arrest here. I'd like to get a little bit more information, and I'd like to get a little bit more evidence and proof, because if it was in that building that she claims that it was in, Wouldn't there be surveillance video evidence? That's all I'm saying. So, no, I don't believe anything Nancy Mace says. I think she's full of crap. A couple of years ago, she's pro-LGBT community. She's pro-transgender, and then she's gone on this tirade about transgenders going into women's bathrooms. Okay, number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And, of course, we're also talking about Caitlyn Clark saying that there is something called white privilege and that she's trying to raise black athletes out there. I don't know why people have a problem with that. All right, 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's start off with Teddy. Teddy is first up on PTL. Hello, Teddy.
Hello. How's it going?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to call you and congratulate you on your show. I think it's number one.
Thank you.
Every point that you make is legit. It's a shame that we have to live in these kind of times. I'm a veteran and Hispanic, and it's troubling.
Yeah.
And I just wish things would have turned out better for us. And I just want to, wish you continued success.
Well, thank you.
And I hope that your message gets to everyone.
Well, Teddy, that's really nice of you to say. And by the way, thank you for your service. You're a hero, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate those kind words. And you guys will always have a platform on this show, especially people like you who serve this country. So thank you, Teddy, for your kind words. And you have a great rest of your day, sir. And you're sir, and you're welcome to call back at any time, Teddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, my friend. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Alex. Alex is next up on PTL. Alex, what's going on?
How you doing today, Brian?
Good.
All right. Well, first things first, just like Teddy said, congratulations on passing 50,000 viewers on and subscribers on YouTube. That's awesome. Good
Appreciate
for you, man.
That. Thank you.
Absolutely. Second thing, I got to give massive props to Caitlyn Clark because I know she's probably getting a lot of blowback. But here's the reason why so many people are angry about, the term white privilege. It's because, as a white guy and a veteran, like we've had these conversations before, it's because a lot of us are very insecure about that term white privilege. A lot of us shut it down, say, I wasn't privileged. I had to work all my life. But they don't understand that that's not what it's about. And if I could, I just want to tell a quick story that I shared with an Army buddy of mine in 2020 about when it really opened my eyes to it. He's a black gentleman, served his country, disabled veteran. He raised his son to stay in school, do good in school, play football, get straight A's. And when his son graduated school, he wanted to treat himself to buying a brand new black Charger. After he bought the black Charger, he gets pulled over. This is down in Colorado. The cop starts asking him all kinds of questions. What do you do for a living? How can you afford this car? And now all these other really penetrating questions, and it really sunk in. Would I have the right to tell him, oh, that's not racism? You took that way, because I have never, ever been asked those questions. But yet, how many people across the country that aren't white have been asked those very specific questions?
You're right. And you know what I would ask them? I would say, would you rather be black or white in this country right now? See what they say.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I would hope that many of them would be honest, and I would think that a lot of them would say, I'd rather be white. And then you say, okay, why would you answer it like that? Because there's something called white privilege. That's why. Now, if you're talking to somebody white and they tell you they wish they were black in this country, in my opinion, they're not being intellectually honest with you, or they really don't understand that systemic racism exists in this country. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody black in this country is a victim, but I will say that pretty much every black person that I've ever talked to in my lifetime, and there have been quite a few, have told me that at times they've been the victim of racism. Maybe they've been pulled over because of the color of their skin. Maybe they've been followed around in an electronics store because somebody thought they might steal something because of the color of their skin. I've been in the car and the passenger with a driver who has been black. I've seen it myself where that person was pulled over for no other reason than the color of their skin. So the idea that systemic racism doesn't exist is absurd. Everything Caitlyn Clark said, I think, is wonderful because she's trying to lift black athletes in the WNBA, which I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that unless they're a bigot or a racist. My friend, I really do appreciate your call. Thank you for your kind words. Appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mohammed. Mohammed is next up on PTL. Hello, Mohammed. Thank you so much for calling in.
I know you're talking about Caitlyn Clark today, but I just want to know how you're feeling now that it's, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks away from Inauguration Day and just this massive defeat that you've been so sure wouldn't happen.
That's absolutely not true. I said it was going to be a very close election. I never said it would be a massive defeat either way. This is what I'm answering your question. So put your Trump fingers down for a moment and listen and get the Trump wax out of your ears. I never said it was going to be a massive win for anybody. I said it was going to be a close election. It was going to be close. I said I was worried, and I said it could go either way, but I thought that Kamala Harris would edge it out. Okay, I was wrong on that. But when you say massive win, this is one of the closest. You're wrong. This is one of the closest elections we've had in the history of this country. What are you talking about? Donald Trump. I'm basing it on the. Well, sure. I'm so glad you asked that question, Muhammad, because Donald Trump won the popular vote by under 2%. He won all the swing states by around 250,000 votes that could have swayed the election one way or another. Now, I'm sorry that I have to educate people like you, but this was not a massive win.
I appreciate the lesson. How many of those votes came from California and New York?
What does it matter where it came
in those cities?
What does it matter where it came from?
Time a Republican won the popular vote.
When was the last time it's been a while. It's been a little while since that happened, but that doesn't mean it was a massive win. I'm telling you that half the country still hates Donald Trump.
Did Kamala win?
I'm sorry?
How many states did Kamala win?
What does that have to do with your what you said in my answer?
Because
Mohammed, does it not make any sense?
80% of the states went red.
Mohammed,
she lost every swing state.
Mohammed,
the blue wall was demolished.
Mohammed, let me ask you a question. Do you watch sports, Mohammed? Are you a sports fan?
I am a sports fan.
Okay, good. What team are you a fan of? Can you give me a team and a sport that you're a fan of? I'm going to try to make a sports analogy so even somebody like you might understand. What's your favorite? What's your favorite team?
What sport? Does it matter? What sport?
I don't care. Give me a. I don't care.
I'm a fan of Brazil, the soccer team.
Okay, I didn't know there's a team called Brazil. Okay, so Brazil, the soccer team.
Brazil's national soccer team? You've never heard of that?
Okay, so
we'll use... Go ahead. Go ahead.
Brazil, the soccer team. So if Brazil, the soccer
Brazil's national team, just like the U.S. has a national
I think soccer. I think soccer might be a bad analogy. I wish you would name a sport like basketball or football or hockey.
Basketball. Let's go with your team, the Boston Celtics.
Okay, so if the Boston, I wanted one of your teams, but that's fine. So if the Boston,
I like the Celtics.
If the Boston Celtics lost 3 or 4 games in a row, all buzzer beaters, would you say they're getting demolished? Or would you say, man, they lost some really close games and they just got a little bit unlucky there at the end? They lost, but they lost some really close games. Would you say they got demolished, Muhammad? Yes or no?
Okay, so if they've played a game in all 50 states and lost 40 plus of those games, yes, they got demolished.
Okay, so you're not making any sense with what you're saying. First of all, you're taking it's not.
Why am I not making sense?
Because I'm talking about every single person, no matter where they live in this country, because I don't care where they live in this country. One vote means just as much to me as another vote. I know you don't think that way, but Donald Trump, every single person that voted in this country, it was almost, I say almost, a virtual tie, meaning under 2%, Donald Trump won the popular vote. Now, Mohammed, I'll go slow for you so even somebody like you might be able to understand. What that means is, for the most part, almost 5 out of 10 people voted for Kamala Harris, a little bit under that, which means half the country almost did not want to see Donald Trump win, which means it was a very close election, which means nobody got demolished. Why is this so hard for you to follow?
I got you. I'm going to use your same analogy. Okay.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm going
to use your same analogy.
Let's stop with analogies.
Let's take the blue wall, and let's say that your team has won in those states for the last, I don't know how many decades, and owned the blue wall. But now they go there and they can't win. Would that be a massive upset in your view? It'd be like the 85 Bears playing a college team and being beat. You wouldn't say that's a massive upset?
I'm trying to speak in layman's terms that hopefully somebody like you, who's obviously a MAGA supporter, will understand, but you're really struggling to understand what I am trying to say here. Now I'm going to speak some facts to you.
I'm saying it was a massive defeat.
Okay, and I'm saying you're a right, and I'm saying you're a right wing, and I'm saying you're a right wing buffoon, and I'll prove it. In 2020, did you think Joe Biden had a massive win? He won by millions and millions and millions of votes. Were you saying the same thing? Were you calling into conservative radio shows and saying Joe Biden had a massive win? Did you say that with Barack Obama when he defeated John McCain and Mitt Romney by millions and millions of votes? Did you say Hillary Clinton, she lost the election, but boy, she won the popular vote? Did you call one conservative radio station in 2020 and say Joe Biden had a massive win? Because according to you, Joe Biden did, in fact, a larger win than Donald Trump. He had a massive win. He won most of the swing states. He won by millions and millions of votes, far stronger than Donald Trump. Did you say that Joe Biden had a massive win?
I did not call any shows, but I don't disagree with that. I think he did have a massive win.
Why didn't you call shows saying that then? Are you showing your bias right now in real time? Why didn't you call shows praising Joe Biden? What a massive win for the Democrats. But all of a sudden we have one of the closest elections in our lifetime, and you want to call in and gloat and talk about...
Wrong. You're mischaracterizing.
No, I'm not.
That's your opinion.
No, it's not an opinion. No, it's not. According to the... No, I'm right. I'm right.
He dominated the map. And
Richard Nixon, in our lifetime, and expanding our lifetime, in the history of this country in the last 140 years, there have been 3 really close elections. Hear me out. Richard Nixon, John F. Kennedy, and guess which one? Orange turd Donald Trump, the man who you support, the adjudicated rapist. So what do you have to say about that?
So the hanging chads wasn't close?
The hanging chads, we're talking about the popular vote. We're not talking about in Florida with the Electoral College. Do you not understand what I'm saying here? When I say close election, I'm not talking about Florida and what took place there. I'm talking about as a whole, the popular vote. If we're talking about the popular vote, this was one of the closest elections, not only in our lifetime, but the history of this country. Why is that so hard for you to understand? Do you think the earth is flat too? Why don't you tell me why you voted for an adjudicated rapist? Let's have that conversation. Why did you vote for Donald Trump?
Was he convicted of rape?
Didn't say that. I said it. I said adjudicated rapist. That doesn't mean he was found criminally negligent for rape.
You often talk about what proof.
Well, why don't you ask the jury who decided that Donald Trump sexually abused E. Jean Carroll and was found liable for it? They're the ones who saw the evidence, but I suppose you think that's fake also. Right?
I do believe that he was unfairly prosecuted.
Oh, what a shocker. I'm shocked that a MAGA supporter thinks that Donald Trump has been treated unfairly. What about the other 25 women? Do you think they're all lying too?
Listen, here's what I'll say. When your predictions, your newest predictions don't come true about how he's going to wreck the economy and wreck the country. I know you don't wish that on the country, but you know it's going to happen because you're Nostradamus.
What did he do? What did he do? What did he do when he went in his first term? What did he do in his first term?
I will make sure to call in again.
Yeah, but when it does,
words once again.
But when it does happen,
Kamala would win.
But when it does happen, you won't call into conservative radio shows and complain about Donald Trump.
You've proved my word. I will call your show.
Oh, you'll call my show. Well, I don't do a conservative show.
Well, listen, I've been very complimentary. I enjoy your show, and I enjoy your position.
Wow, well, that makes me, well, you know what? That makes me so warm and fuzzy.
Listen, you love to call us all out when we're wrong. I'm calling you out when you're wrong, and you don't like it.
I'm about to give you a compliment now. It makes me so warm and fuzzy inside that a man with an IQ of about 20 loves my show. Really, it makes me
generous.
It makes me feel really good that somebody that is very slow and doesn't understand math and probably doesn't have an education still takes the time to take his little Trump fingers to pick up the phone and call Brian to harass him and tell him how Donald Trump won in a landslide.
Listen, I'm not harassing you. I find it very comical that she had $1.4 billion. Her burn rate was $100 million a day, and she still lost.
What do you do?
She's in debt.
What do you do for a living?
Great campaign.
What do you do?
Campaign.
What do you do for a living?
I'll tell you what. I manage my money better than she did.
Do you? I doubt that. If
I ran for an election with $1.4 billion with no recognition, I bet you I could have probably won.
I don't think
you could have probably won.
I don't think you would. I don't think you'd be able to raise more than $20.
She was horrible. All you did was
why was she horrible?
Regurgitate all the Democratic talking points, and you wanted it to happen so bad because you hate Donald Trump so much, and you were wrong. Just say that. Just say
I was wrong about what?
The man.
I was wrong about what?
I dreamt and hoped and prayed that he would lose, and he didn't. and now
First of all,
you're stuck with the guy for 4 years.
unlike you and your sexual escapades, I've never dreamt about Donald Trump. God forbid I think about the dreams you have about Donald Trump and him being on top of you. I don't dream about obese orange
I'm sure you
orangutans.
have.
No, I haven't. You know what I
sure
dream?
you have.
You know what I dream of? I'll tell you what I dream about. I dream like people like you will be deported. That's what I dream. I dream people like you that are MAGA morons are all deported and leaving the country. That's what I dream about. You think that'll happen? That's what I dream about.
I hope when he does it my whole family,
Yeah.
not just me by myself. Because I don't want to get separated.
Yeah. Well, according to Donald Trump, he wants to deport your entire family, right? He'll deport your entire family.
And you know what? If they want to stay together, they should all go together.
You want to know what I dream? I dream about there's less right-wing turds like you in this country that don't understand basic math and skills. You were probably one of those people holding your Confederate flag at one of his rallies, holding up a sign that says, F Joe in the hoe.
5 minutes to yourself, pull up the map.
Yeah.
And look at how much of the country actually supported
Well,
it.
we all know you don't do that.
He won the popular vote. A Republican has not done that in decades.
In closing, I will say this. In closing,
in terms of how the election cycles have been going, yes, this was a massive defeat.
Okay, yeah,
it's a massive defeat.
Right.
I don't want to admit it, and that's fine.
I think the only
you
thing
don't have to.
I think the only thing that's massive in this conversation is your stupidity. But I'll leave you with this: when you have 5 minutes of your time, we all know what you do, pleasuring yourself to your orangutan Cheeto Jesus poster. Have a nice day, Muhammad. I appreciate the phone call, my friend. Thank you for the kind words. I'm so glad that idiots like you listen to this show because you make it more entertaining. Thank you, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tracy. Tracy is next up on PTL. What's up, Tracy?
Hey, Brian, how you doing? I'm a Pennsylvanian, and I'm living in Richmond, Virginia now. But I just found your show like last week. I didn't know who you were before that. But
how dare
I gotta
you?
Give you big,
I'm just kidding.
I gotta give you big props, man. I don't know anybody else who's stopping mud holes in these conservatives' asses and walking it dry. You're doing a hell of a job, man. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I like Caitlyn Clark. I didn't used to. Most people didn't even watch basketball. Women's basketball before Caitlyn Clark, and she's been getting her ass kicked out there on the court. But it's not just her. It happened to Jordan. It happened to LeBron. It happened to, But because she's white, they cringe. She is one tough individual.
Yep.
She's the female Steph Curry.
Can I ask you, Tracy, a question? If you don't,
for her, I wouldn't even watch women's basketball.
I hear you, Tracy. Let me ask you a question. Why is it you think that when she tries to lift Black women WNBA players, and she makes some statements. She makes some statements that I agree with. Yes, there is something called white privilege. I think that's obvious. And when she says, we need a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been Black players, and we need to lift them up and build them. Why is it you think that far right righties out there, like the Charlie Kirks and the Megyn Kellys, have a problem with her statement and now they're attacking her? Why do you think that is?
They hate Black people. They hate the others, man. I mean, this country could really be great if you would get rid of all these conservative. I mean, they're playing with the minds of like Muhammad. Like Muhammad thinks that he can pass and get in with them. They don't like once Black people. If they get rid of Black people, who do you think's next? Muhammad, you'll be out of here too.
That's true.
But in the end, they need us. More than, we need them too. But, I mean, when we're not here to do the dirty work, who's going to do the dirty work?
Yeah.
It's going to be the poor white people.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And go ahead.
I mean?
Let's sit back. If they want to deport 20 million people, let's see the economy tank. Go ahead and try to deport. By the way, they forget Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago has employed undocumented immigrants, but they forget about all these billionaires. At one point in their life, they've hired undocumented immigrants, but they don't want to talk about that. Oh, well, we don't want to separate the families. No, we don't want to separate the families. No, you know what we want to do? We want them all to leave together. So you know what that means? Make America white again. I keep saying that over and over again. It's not make America great again. It's make America white again. This country was founded with immigrants. Okay? It's make America white again. And if you don't believe me, look at Donald Trump's administration the first time around and look at what his administration is going to look like now. For you black people that voted for Donald Trump, do you think he represents you? Housing and urban development. You got one black person in his administration. Boy, I'm wondering what happened to all these black people that have wore the ring, kissed the ring, I should say, of Donald Trump. What happened to Tim Scott and Byron Donalds? Why weren't they hired? You know Tim Scott wanted a job. How about Dr. Ben Carson? Why wasn't he hired? No, he went with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Are you effing kidding me? 702-221. Thank you for the call, by the way, sir. I appreciate your kind words, and I'm glad you found the show. Call back anytime. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Eddie. I believe Eddie is next up on PTL. Hey, Eddie, thanks for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Muhammad. You got checkmated, clown.
Okay, would you like to have a conversation, or you just want to start the just want to insult me? Because
no, that's a statement.
Okay, thank you.
Shove it up your ass.
Okay, so besides calling me a clown and saying shove it up your ass, can you clarify in any intellectual way at all why you disagree with me? What did I say on the show without calling me a name? Tell me why you disagree with me, why I'm a clown. I don't mind it if you call me names. I've got thick skin. But can you articulate and prove to the audience, hold on, I'm not done yet. I'm asking you a question. Can you articulate, as any semi-intelligent person would, why I'm a clown and what I've said on the show today that you disagree with? Because if you can articulate that, we can have a conversation. If you're just going to call up and say, I can't wait to call Brian a clown on the air because I'm so funny, then the conversation's probably not going to go anywhere. Now, if you think I'm a clown and say, Brian, here's why I think you're a clown, then I'll give you the platform to tell me why. So I'm going to give you just one opportunity, and let's see if you're smart enough to articulate why you think I'm a clown. What did I say on this show that you disagree with? Go ahead, sir.
You have your ears on? You ready?
I've been ready since this phone call started.
You insulted Muhammad 10 times. He never insulted you once because you were losing the argument.
Here's why.
And
okay, so I lost the argument and I suck is the only way you can articulate why you think I'm a clown. So let me explain to you why I attacked Muhammad, okay? Because like you, he's not a very intelligent person. Here's why. He said it was a landslide victory and it was a huge win, like people say it's a mandate. And I tried to provide facts to him, which I will try to provide to you, and I'm sure you still won't get it. But I haven't hung up on you. I kept you on the line, clown, okay? Shove it up your ass, clown. I kept you on the line, and let's pot him down so I could finish my conversation with him, even though it's not much of a conversation. So you see, sir, 1.7% is the vote popular where Donald Trump won by. 1.7%. If you look at the history of this country, it was one of the closest elections we've ever had. So when someone says it's a mandate or it was a huge win, I provide facts and say, well, it wasn't a huge win. In fact, Joe Biden in 2020, 20 times larger win for him, okay? So those stats alone on the popular vote prove my point that it wasn't this mandate. So what did I say just now that would lead you to believe that I'm wrong? Go ahead and, without calling me a name, because then we'll move on to the next caller. What did I say that's not factually accurate, sir, that would lead you to believe that I lost the argument? Go ahead.
I got numbers.
Okay.
You want to hear a number?
Sure. What number did I say that you disagree with? Can you please tell me? Let's start there.
How many radio shows have you been fired from?
Okay, so again, he's calling. By the way, I've never been fired from one radio show or one station my entire life, and that has nothing to do with this conversation. You see, ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, I can go down my resume with you. I've been let go, budget cuts, but that has no bearing on the conversation. So what I do is I have a debate with you. It's one-sided because you're not smart enough to have a debate with me because you're proving it right now on the air. I just explained to you why I attacked Muhammad. I just gave you stats on the popular vote, and I asked if you could retort what I just said, and your only retort was, how many radio stations have you been fired from? By the way, I've never been fired from one radio station my entire life. But that's irrelevant because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I asked you why you called me a clown. Hold on. I asked you why you called me a clown. I asked you why you insulted me. And you responded, and your first response wasn't, oh, because you've been fired from a bunch of radio stations, which is, by the way, not true. The first thing you said was because you lost the argument with Muhammad. I explained to you why Mohammed was wrong. I articulated it by saying this was one of the closest elections we've ever had based on the popular vote. Donald Trump won the popular vote by about 1.7%. I said, where do you disagree with me on it? And you talked about alleged radio stations that I've been fired from. Sir, do you understand when I try to have I'm not done talking yet, dummy. I'm not done talking yet, snowflake. So I tried to give you an opportunity. You're obviously not smart enough to have a conversation with me. Sir, what do you, since you claim you know so much about me, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure Eddie's your real name. Sir, what do you do for a living here? Where do you live? And
You're the one that took
you're the one. Have a nice day, you inbred. I don't even want to talk. Should I give this guy one more opportunity? Boy, these people are so stupid. They're such clowns and they're so stupid. Sir, I'll give you one more opportunity. By the way, I potted you down, dumbass. That means nobody can hear you, okay? It's my show. I get to do what I want, dumbass. So you won't tell us anything about you, your real name, what you do for a job, because you're a coward. But I'm going to give you one more opportunity, and just one more, and I'm going to ask you a question and give you one more opportunity, and let's see for the fourth or fifth time if you could actually have a conversation. Now, I don't think you're capable of it, because I think you're only capable of third-grade insults, but I will take a shot, and I will ask you again. Mohammed said it was one of the biggest victories, and he kicked Kamala Harris's ass, for lack of a better term, and I articulated to him that that wasn't true, and I explained to him that it was a popular vote win of about 1.7%. So I'm giving you one more opportunity, dumbass, as I pod you back up, clown, dumbass, to see if you have an IQ over 20, to articulate where you disagree with me on without ad hominem attacks. Let's see if we could do that. I'm just giving it right back to you. So I'm giving you another opportunity. Where am I wrong, sir? And he hung up the phone. Have a nice day, buddy. Just another MAGA clown who cannot articulate in any way, shape, or form why he thinks I'm a clown. It is kind of funny, too, what he said. Let's see. Not that anybody would really care. I worked for Citadel Communications. That was my first job in radio. That was in Connecticut. That was 20 years ago. I worked for them for about 2.5 years. I was a young 21-year-old kid. I was an anchor. I was a reporter. And that was a job where there were a bunch of layoffs, and I was one of them, and I wasn't doing a show back then. And then I got a job here in Las Vegas working for a company called Metro Networks. That led to another job. I quit that job. I wasn't fired. I quit that job, and I took another job in this town as a news anchor and a reporter, and I worked for them for 5 years. And then I decided to take a job in Seattle, working there. I hated living there. I didn't like my job. I wasn't able to do a show there. I got back here, and I got the opportunity to do a show. And that job led me to another job at another station here in town. Unfortunately, it was a conservative radio station. Was never fired from that job. And then I went over here. I've never been fired from a radio job in my life. So that is blatantly false. But anyway, why am I even addressing that? Obviously, some of these people that call in are not very intelligent. All right, let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next. What's up, Darlene?
Hey, Brian. Listen, Muhammad and the other dude that just got off Brian's, I'm telling you right now, you're a bunch of blanking idiots. And you probably don't even know how to spell that. But let me tell you something. I have been fired in my lifetime once. And it wasn't because of me. I could get into a long story about that. But anyway, I've been fired once. And then I've also won a mud wrestling contest. So who cares? Who gives a crap? And another thing, who cares that Donald Trump, you think that he has the most popular vote or the most people calling in? Who gives a crap? We don't. And I'm telling you, you guys will find out when this gets going, because it's going to be a complete mess. And I'm telling you right now, when it starts hurting me, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm a conservative. I'm not a conservative. I'm independent. When this happens, I'm going to start coming to y'all's houses, Because you guys are going to start helping me pay my bills.
Well, hopefully.
I'm sorry, Brian.
No, there's
They
no
got me riled up.
there's no reason to apologize. I appreciate the call, my dear. Just don't do it to Nick Fuentes' house, because then he might assault you and spray you with bear spray, just like those did on January 6th. Thank you for the phone call, my dear. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to a man by the name of Good Citizen who's calling into the show. Is that who we're going to now? Good Citizen. Hello, Good Citizen.
Yes.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm on the air because the clown, that man you was getting into it with, you should have hung up on him. He is bagger and stay unhinged.
Okay, so Good
And
Citizen.
Donald Trump.
Hear me out on this. The reason why I don't immediately hang up on them, because I like to expose how stupid these people are. So they call in, they call in and they immediately call me names, which is fine. I have thick skin. That doesn't bother me. But then I give them an opportunity to say, why are you calling me a name? What do you disagree with me on? Do you hear how they're not even able to articulate an argument? They have no idea what they're talking about.
For real.
Yeah, so I keep them on.
Illiterate, just like Trump.
Well, that's true. Or Antonio Brown. He's illiterate too, but that's another story. Go ahead.
66. I used to vote and keep it moving. But Donald Trump, I stayed up all night when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump was running for office.
Yeah.
To see who won. The votes weren't counted till 3:30 that morning. I'm 66. Back in the day, you had to vote counted before 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ain't doing that no more. And you just can't make this stuff up about Donald Trump.
Well,
and Jim Jones put the Kool-Aid, and they followed him. They followed him to death. Well, I'm just saying, Trump's Kool-Aid is coming.
Well, we'll see about that. But listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. The reason why I don't hang up on some of these people right away is because it's fun to expose how stupid they are. I don't mind if people call me names. I have thick skin. That's fine. I don't care. But tell me why. For example, when I call Donald Trump a horrible human being, I talk about how he's treated women his entire life, the way he's done business his entire life, the way he insults everyone that disagrees with him. There's a lot of reasons why I call him a bad person. So if somebody thinks I'm a clown or whatever you think I am, then be able to at least in a couple sentences articulate why. Unfortunately, there are some people that are just not even smart enough to do that. They can't even talk. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Tyrone. Tyrone is next up on PTL. Hey, Tyrone, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian, good afternoon.
Hey.
Look, I heard that dude, Muhammad, call up.
Mm-hmm.
His problem is he doesn't understand the definition of a massive victory.
Right.
And a close victory. But see, I said this to you when I first started listening to your show, and I called in a couple of times. You can't rationalize with these Trump terrorists, because that's what I call them. They have no sense of logic.
Yeah.
When you talk to them, if you talk to somebody and you say, "Hey, how's the weather today?" and they say, "Oh, the sky is a beautiful color of green," and you look up and you say, "Well, what are they talking about? The sky's blue." How do you get that person to understand that? No, the sky's not green; it's blue.
Well,
you'll never get that person. You'll never get them to understand it because their reality is completely altered.
The analogy I like your analogy, and I'll use a similar one because I was watching the NBA midseason playoffs yesterday, and I'm watching the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm watching Kyrie Irving. Now, you couldn't have a lot. I think Kyrie Irving is an extremely talented, and I've met him before. Seems like a nice guy. I've talked to him before. I've met him, but you couldn't convince Kyrie Irving about vaccines. You couldn't, the guy probably still thinks the earth is flat. He's not a very intelligent guy. He's an extremely gifted basketball player, and I don't think he's out to harm people. I don't think he's this horrible guy. I think he's a little selfish and he's very ignorant. But you couldn't have a conversation with him about medicine or about geography or any of that because he's just not very intelligent. Kyrie Irving is an example to me of many of these. I think the MAGAs are worse because I think they're dangerous, some of these MAGA supporters. But You're right. With some of these people, you can't have a conversation with any.
Coming to Lee's Family Forum.
I don't know what just happened there. I think that was George Soros. But you can't have an intellectual conversation with so many of these Trump supporters. You just can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. Yeah, you can't. And let me say this. You don't owe anybody any explanation on your past. Everybody's got a past. So whether you got fired, let go, walked away, whatever.
Yeah.
None of their business.
I agree.
We all got a past.
Yeah.
We all got a past.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't hide from anything that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
And
And
my
what does
first.
that have to do?
Yeah.
With,
Go ahead.
What does that have to do with what you was talking about? See,
Nothing.
now,
Nothing.
Instead of the guy going to giving you a point to a counterpoint to what you said about the election and the vote total, he goes to something totally off topic.
Well, because
Like,
he's an idiot.
He might as well say, well, you don't like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
And I'm
well,
like,
well,
what are you
because
talking about?
he's in his car, he's listening, he's obsessed with my show, and at some point he says, "Boy, I want to clown Brian Shapiro." So instead of wanting to talk about a serious issue or anything that he probably agrees with me on everything, these people will call in and they'll get educated and then they get angry and they'll say things about me that are not true. I get it all the time. I get it on social media and I get it on this radio show, and that's fine. I'll still continue to take their calls and prove live on the air how stupid they are. 702-221-7283. Let's go to James. James is next up on PTL. What's up, James?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I'm James, and can I talk to you about the Mohammed call?
Sure.
Guys like Mohammed and Herb, why do you never listen to them and always try to get them off the air? You always try to make fun of them, and you don't actually have a conversation.
Okay, so first of all, I'll answer. Mohammed was on the air for at least 10 minutes. So your claim that I wanted to try to get them off the air, let me explain something to you. I don't try to get people off the air. If I want to hang up on somebody, I just give my producer a hand signal, and he hangs up on them. So if I want you off the air right now, for example, I would hang up on you. I'm not going to do that, but I'm capable of doing that. I kept Mohammed on the air for 10 minutes. Now, Mohammed made his point.
You didn't have a conversation.
We did have a conversation. Mohammed made the point that it was a landslide victory. I can tell you everything that Mohammed said in that conversation. Okay, it's not an opinion when you say that it was a huge, large-scale mandate victory for Donald Trump. That's not an opinion. That makes you a moron. That's like saying
it's an opinion.
No, it's
That's
not.
an opinion.
No, it's not an opinion, and I'll explain why. Fact: he won the popular. No, it's not. He won the popular vote by 1.7%. It's not an opinion. It's a fact.
And the word "keep" is different than your word in the belief. In the word belief.
It's not my fault that you don't know what the definition of an opinion is, sir. Let me guess. You voted for Donald Trump. Let me guess. You voted. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Okay. Did you vote? I'm trying to ask you a question. Stop playing victim and listen to me. You sound like Nancy Mace every day. Okay. Next, you're going to tell me you got to. Next, you're going to tell me you were sexually assaulted when you were 16 years old. You're Nancy Mace over here. All right. So, sir.
I wouldn't.
Sir, who did you vote for?
Trump.
Okay. Well, geez, I'm shocked. I'm shocked to hear that. I'm question. Are you married? Do you have kids?
Yes, I'm married and I have children.
Girls, boys. I will get to that. If you will listen, I will connect the dots if you're capable of answering my questions. Do you have any daughters?
I have one daughter and one son.
Gotcha. Okay. So if your daughter says, "Dad, why did you vote for an adjudicated rapist and someone that has 25 women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault?" I'm wondering what would be your reasoning to your daughter if she asked you that?
I'd rather answer that question than, "Dad, can I become a man?"
So has your daughter said that to you?
No, I think.
Okay, so that's not an issue. So why would you talk about something that doesn't affect you? So
you're talking about something that's not going to affect me either.
Okay, so so first of all, okay, let's talk about Dad, I want to be a man for a moment. Even though
wouldn't do that.
Even though, well, there are some people in this country that do decide that they want to have transgender surgery, but I'm wondering why you have a problem with that.
Well, because she's a woman.
Okay, but that's you, not her. There are some people in this country that want.
That's my definition.
Okay,
just like Mohammed.
Guess what?
Saying it was a huge. Mohammed said it was a huge victory.
Hold on, no. We're not going. We're not going back. No, we're not going to.
I'm trying to tell you that that's my opinion,
sir. we're going to go back to what you just said. Now, you don't want to be a woman,
My
okay?
name's James.
Hold on.
James.
Okay, whatever your name is, okay? I'll call you anti-trans if I want to, okay? Mr. Anti-Trans. Let's do it that way.
Not you want me to answer. My name's James.
Thank you, Mr. Anti-Trans. So if you don't want to be a woman, you have the right in this country not to have transgender surgery. Now, somebody else your age with your intellect or whatever you are might want to have transgender surgery. Are you saying they don't have the right to make that decision?
I'm saying they're probably an idiot because they're born a woman and they're a woman, or they're born a guy.
Okay, so anybody in this country,
you don't even know if there's a soccer team in Britain.
Okay, first of all, we weren't even talking about Britain. We were talking about Brazil. Second of all, please stay on topic. We're not talking about soccer. We're not talking. We are staying.
You're going to tell me how to raise my kid or what my kid.
Mr. Anti-Trans, please let's remain on topic, okay, Mr. Anti-Trans? You just said everybody in this country that either wants to have transgender surgery or is transgender is an idiot. Yeah. Is that your take, sir?
100%.
Okay, well, that makes you a bigot. That's the definition of a bigot.
It may be the fact that when Trump gets inaugurated, that this country is going to go back to normalcy. It's going to go back to
normalcy
and not all this crazy woke stuff that we've been indoctrinated with for the last whatever year.
I haven't been indoctrinated into anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
People. And all I can tell you is, ever since Obama and the black people thinking that they're going to riot up, you're damn right we have white privilege.
Ever since the black people and Barack Obama were going to riot up. Okay, so let me get this right. All the black people want to riot. You think all trans people are idiots. Sir,
Black lives.
Sir, do you live in your mobile? Are you Let me ask you a serious.
I want to do that prior to Obama.
I'm going to ask you a serious question, sir. Do you live in a mobile home and are you having relations with your cousin? And do you have 3 teeth?
Why would you ask like that? Why would you ask?
Why would you say all trans? Why would you say all trans people are idiots? I can give it right back at you. Answer my question. Do you live in a mobile? I'm all right. Listen, have you heard of something?
I'm going to let you answer me a question.
No, there's something. We live in Vegas. We have something called in-game wagering. I'm going to call this in-teeth wagering. I believe the over/under on how many teeth you have are 2.5. I take the under.
National soccer teams can you talk about?
How many teeth? Answer the question. Do you live? I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'd like you to answer all of them honestly.
I've already answered your questions. And
how many?
I don't.
How many teeth do you have?
I've got a full set of teeth, Brian.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Have you ever had relations with any of your family members, like your cousin?
But yeah, no.
You just said yeah. Your first answer was yeah.
Are you trying to be an idiot?
If you impregnated your cousin, do you think she should be forced to have the baby? Yes or no?
I'd push her down the stairs personally.
Okay, well, that's the end of the conversation. No, that's the end of the conversation. That's the end of the conversation. It doesn't go any further when you claim that you want to physically assault a woman. That's where the conversation ends. I'm not gonna continue the conversation with you after a statement like that because it's utterly repulsive and disgusting. Utterly repulsive and disgusting. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Charles. Charles is next on PTL. Hey, Charles, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how you doing this evening?
Good. Some crazy calls today, but I'm doing okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? Sometimes these guys, like Muhammad and everything, they make some good points, you know. I think we should be able to be anti-trans as long as we don't do physical harm to these people. You know, we can be against them, and they want to mutilate their body because they think there's something else.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you have the right not to like certain groups of people if you want to. However, you shouldn't have the right to tell them what to do so long as it's not against the law.
But, some of these transgenders, they get the surgery, and then afterwards...
What does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with you? Is it affecting you in your life?
Yes, because I have to see it on TV and see these people who...
So hold on.
Mutilated their body.
Okay, so let's go with that. You have to see it on TV. So you mean someone is forcing you to watch something on television, and you can't change the channel in a free country? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I can change the
Okay,
channel. But,
okay. So hold on. Let's
why do we
rewind.
wanna-
Yes, you can.
Why do we want to cut these people's penises?
Okay,
and
so first of all,
for
I don't,
people like you
sir.
who steal from your sister.
Sir,
You
I don't
steal
know.
from your sister.
Okay, have a nice day, sir. That's just a really weird statement that you just made, Charles. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about. And you're just, again, another guy who's making claims that are completely untrue and despicable. But I wouldn't be, I'm not shocked that somebody who hates transgenders is also somebody that would make a despicable statement about a member of my family and something that I never did. So have a nice day, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Brian. How are you this afternoon?
Doing okay. What's up, Mark?
First, number one, to that guy Follow in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Your name is perfect, Follow, because being in a cult, you are a follower, and followers need leaders because you can't act on your own for the most part.
Right.
Number two, that last caller, not for MAGA, not the one you just hung up on, the one before that, it took a little prodding by you, but you finally got the racism out of him. Now, MAGA runs on a few things. It runs on hatred. It runs on white supremacy.
Yep.
It runs on anti-government, and it runs on Donald Trump and whatever they do against the Democrats.
Right.
But what I'm really trying to say here is that no matter what you bring up or what you say, it's always diverted back to what isn't. Now, how many people actually went around before this became a talking point with the Republicans and the Democrats alike too?
Mm-hmm.
How many people actually walked around their state or their area, their neighborhood going, I can't believe these trans. I can't believe I have to watch them on TV. Not one of them gave it a second thought before this became an issue for an election. Nothing. I guarantee you not one of them ever brought up trans in a conversation prior to this becoming an issue. So for them, it's just a talking point. It's just hatred towards the Democrats. And that's the only reason why they bring this up.
I agree.
Need a talking point.
Well, I'll give you plenty of talking points just in the last several days, attacking Caitlyn Clark for raising, black women who play in the WNBA. There's the talking point. The CEO, Shooter Luigi, those on the far right are saying that Democrats are praising him when in actuality they couldn't name one prominent Democrat that has said anything positive about this guy. In fact, it was Josh Shapiro who held a press conference the other day who said quite to the contrary, the opposite. So you're absolutely right. It's lies and talking points. I agree with you, Mark, 150%. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Shelley. Shelley's next on PTL. What's up, Shelley?
Hey, Brian. I cannot believe that man that you were talking to a minute ago said that he would push someone down the stairs that was pregnant.
Pretty disgusting.
A woman.
Pretty disgusting. I think, well, it's worse than that. I think that what happens is, Shelley, and you could tell me whether you disagree, but what happens in these conversations is this. They call into the show and they attempt to debate me on something.
And they cannot do it because you're too bright.
And then when they realize that they're getting destroyed and demolished, they don't know what to do. So they say just outlandish, crazy things, either about me or embarrass themselves because they're trapped and they can't put a couple coherent sentences together, and they can't.
Does it matter to anybody that doesn't want to change their gender? If it doesn't concern me, I don't care.
Well, listen, that's the way a logical, normal, decent human being thinks. But when these people call into the show and they want to attack transgenders, and then I say, how does it affect you? And this moron calls in and says it affects me because I see it on TV. It's weird. When I put on the TV, I don't see that sort of stuff. And then when I say, why don't you change the channel? And then they go to ad hominem attacks because they don't know what else to say, because they're
Right.
bigoted and ignorant people, and they don't understand how to articulate anything that they believe in. I mean, that's
And
just
I will tell you what Trump brought to this country. He brought hatred out. He gave them permission to hate anybody and everybody that is not freaking white.
well, he certainly gave a lot of these people a platform to be more comfortable in their bigotry and in their hatred, my
Take their
dear.
hood off, yeah.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283 is the number if you do want to be a part of the conversation. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. Hi, Julie.
Hey, Brian, those two callers, I'm speechless. One of them wants to push a woman down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then the other one talked about you going after your sister. These people are insane.
Well,
My mouth
they
fell
are
open.
they're very ignorant. Unfortunately for them, they are addicted to my show, and I grow on them like a fungus, and they listen to my show every day. And the highlight of their day, because they clearly don't have lives of their own, is to use their little Trump fingers and call into the show and try to get to me when, at the same time, when they call in, I kind of have fun with them to expose how stupid they are. So it's fine. They can keep calling in. It's okay by me.
I know, and you have a lot of bravery dealing with those people. Like,
These are
holy
Donald
crap.
Trump's. This is Donald Trump's base. I've said it before and I say it again. The base of his supporters are unintelligent, middle-aged white people. And make no mistake about it, these are some of the people that call into the show that can't put two sentences together and can't articulate any of their opinions. It's who they are.
And then there's some, like my old boss, who are willingly ignorant.
Yeah.
Like he said he'd rather have a criminal running the country than someone who was a stripper.
Yeah.
There's nothing on Kamala being a stripper, nothing.
No, well,
But
people
he
who make
believes on whatever he hears.
Well, people who make statements like that are very stupid, ignorant people. Kamala Harris is a very accomplished, educated woman with a nice family. But the people who make statements like that are the idiots who go on social media and believe everything they read. They're very ignorant, brainwashed people, and they should look in the mirror themselves. I appreciate the call, my dear. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Tina's next. Hey, Tina. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Brian, I've been trying to get through forever, since before the election, and
Oh, wow.
finally got through.
Wow. Well, thank you for keep trying. I
Listen,
appreciate that.
Listen every single weekday to you, whether I'm making dinner or whatever I'm doing.
well,
That's
thank
what
you.
I'm doing, is listening to you.
Thank you.
But these callers, I mean, most of them are probably trolls, and I have to wonder how many are paid by the Republican Party because they know what a supporter
Hey,
you are in democracy.
Then I'm costing the Republican Party money, and my job has been done.
Right, right. And if Trump had lost, I don't think you'd be having nearly as much fun as you are having.
That's true. That might be true.
The caller who called the insane woman about the fencing, in actuality, the border fencing went to the Supreme Court, and it was the Supreme Court that said, in Texas, that said it had to be cut. And then Greg Abbott refused to do it.
Yeah.
But that's what happened, was it went to their Supreme Court.
Right. Correct.
You know, in the state of Texas. So I don't know where she gets her facts. Obviously, like you said, it's one channel and one channel only.
Right.
But you know, the state of affairs in our country is just abysmal. And you know, people, I understand why people are panicking and stuff. And I keep telling people, you have to be ready for the midterms, and you have to talk to your congressmen, your senators, your representatives. It's more important than ever that you stay proactive and know and voice your opinions.
Right.
You know, because these people still represent you no matter what.
No
and
question.
for now, we still have checks and balances, and we need to let it work the way it's supposed to work.
No question,
You know?
Tina. And very, very well said, might I add. And I appreciate you calling in. And, you know, you always have a platform on this show, Tina, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brad. I believe Brad is next on PTL. Hey, Brad, what's going on, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Hey, I'm just very curious about the whole trans debate and stuff like that.
Okay.
If we were given the opportunity to remove the LG, like the lesbian and gays, and then make a separate movement, for, like, bisexual, queer, or whatever else. Do you find that, would that be something you would be interested in doing, hypothetically, just because it seems like, I think the reason people on the right have a large issue with it is it's like progressive. So they just keep adding stuff to this movement that necessarily doesn't have a purpose to be there, except for their, I'll just let you respond.
Well, I'll in general terms, here's what I will say. And I've been pretty consistent on these issues for most of my life since I've been on the air the last 20 years. I don't care what people do. I don't care whether they're transgender or gay or straight or whatever. I just want people to be happy. I don't want to interfere in their lives. I want them to do what they want to do. If people don't want to be gay, then don't be gay. If people don't want to be transgender, then don't be transgender. If you don't want your kids to get transgender surgery, then don't allow your kids to have transgender surgery. It's pretty simple to me. It's pretty simple to me. Stop interfering in other people's lives. Let parents and doctors and professionals make their own decisions. I don't care who's in the bathroom. I don't care.
Okay. Well, what I'm trying to ask you is, how do you think the lesbians and gays feel in this movement if like, just more and more oddity, like sexualities keep getting added to that?
Well, what do you mean by that? Can you expand on that for me? Like, what do you mean by because I'm a little confused with your question.
As a point, like, I feel like they're kind of getting thrown to the wayside where, if you're a lesbian and there's a transgender person, and you don't want to date them, then you're considered transphobic. So what?
No, I don't consider it that. I'm not like that. I don't think most people, if you don't want to date somebody who's gay, it probably means you're not gay. Who cares? I don't think like that. I don't think most of America thinks like that. I think if you're a bigot, you think like that.
That's what I'm just trying to ask you, like, is there a certain point, like, where they should separate that type of movement where, some of the stuff is not even correlated with the beginning of why it started? That's what I was trying to ask. Because it seems like
I don't think anything should be separated. I think if you're the type of person who has hate in your heart, then you're a bad person. If you want to judge people based on sexuality or gender, then I think you're a bad person. Just like if you judge somebody based on the color of their skin.
All I'm trying to say is, like, if lesbian and gays, they want to be removed from the whole, like, acronym, and then, everything else can have their own groups. So I'm just like, I don't speak for lesbians or gay. I don't speak for lesbians or people that are gay, but I will say this: most of the people that I do know just want to be left alone. Leave them alone and let them live their life. And there's sadly too many people out there that want to interfere in their life. And those are usually the same people that don't want to look in the mirror and look at themselves and look at all of the issues that they have in their life, my friend. That's the best way I can answer that. No, I don't think anything should be separated. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon is next up on PTL. What's up, Brandon?
Oh, hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hey.
So I just want to let you know that guy who talked about pushing a woman down the stairs to give her an abortion.
That's a disgusting thing to say. It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you recognize the voice, but it sounded like the same guy who called in a few weeks ago, who called you a Jew. And
well, I don't know. I'll have to go back and I'll have to look at that. Brandon, it wouldn't surprise me. Unfortunately, we don't always monitor every single phone number of every person who calls in. It'd be too difficult to track that down.
Right.
But you might be right, because I think the same person that would make a horrible statement like that is probably the same person that would make a statement about my religion. So that wouldn't surprise me, Brandon, one bit.
Well, it's not just a religion; it's also a ethnic group that you're born to, and you have no control over whatsoever.
Correct.
So that's the
you're right.
That's the real issue.
Yeah, you're correct.
And I'm pretty amazed, honestly. I've kind of peruse some of these right-wing YouTube channels, and even on places like Rumble, just to get a sense of what they're saying. And
well, Rumble's a joke.
anti-Semitic-
Rumble's a
Yeah.
joke. The fact that that company allows the people to use the N-word and homophobic slurs, Rumble is an embarrassment and terrible for the country. What a joke of a company that they allow people to say the things that they're allowed to say on there. It's disgusting. But Rumble is for people that never had a job in radio. They don't know how to do a show, but when they claim they're on Rumble, they get to sit in their mom's basement and do a show and hurl, racial tropes and stuff like. I mean, it's horrible. It really is.
Right. And I'm pretty surprised, actually, because, I grew up, I'm 35 years old. And so when I turned into voting age, that was when I voted for Obama. And so I guess I kind of got spoiled, and I didn't really realize the extent to how racist and anti-Semitic and homophobic this country actually is.
It really is staggering, isn't it, my man? And I think Donald Trump has a lot to do with allowing people to be, or giving them the opportunity to be comfortable in their bigotry. You're absolutely right, my friend. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's going on, man?
Hi, Brian. Hard to get a hold of you, but
not that hard. Come on, it's not that hard.
I had this thought about the election. If Kamala would have been white and a man, she would have won.
Probably. I don't disagree.
I heard from a lot of people that said they would never vote for a woman or a black person ever again.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I've made the statement maybe less about race this election and more about gender. I think a lot of people were not willing to vote for her because she's a woman. I think that more than race, because the reason why I say that is because Barack Obama was elected twice. But I do think her being a woman played a large role. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And that's why I would tell the Democrat Party, if you're up against a J.D. Vance or a Ron DeSantis, I have no problem with a woman being the leader of the free world, but I also want them to win. So I would say you need a man to get up there and run in 2028. We don't want to go 0-3 when it comes to women running. All due respect to Kamala Harris, all due respect to Hillary Clinton. They lost to Donald Trump. We don't want to see that happen again.
And another thought is, they keep bringing up this gender stuff. But isn't Jenner transgender?
I don't know. I guess. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I'm not an expert when it comes to that stuff, but I will say, if you're born a woman, you're a woman. If you're born a man, you're a man. But if people want to have transgender surgery and they want to be called a woman or a man, I'll be respectful and I'll do that because I'm not a bigot and I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next on PTL. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Brian. Wow, what a cavalcade of all-star callers earlier.
Yeah.
But quickly on the Caitlyn Clark thing, why does Caitlyn Clark spitting facts about the history of the WNBA and who actually built the platform for Caitlyn Clark to perform and continue to grow the game, why does that bother these MAGA snowflakes so much? I really don't get it. I mean, I get it, but it's so stupid.
I think it's pretty simple. It's because a lot of them don't want to see anybody in this country black being uplifted. They don't want to see it.
Yeah,
so when somebody like Caitlyn Clark, who I think
absurd.
is a class act, by the way, I think Caitlyn Clark is a very intelligent woman. She's very modest. She's a class act. She's a great role model. She's got so many wonderful qualities.
Baller.
And a fantastic basketball player. But more importantly, I think she's a wonderful person. And she's very modest. And I got to tell you something. The WNBA should be, and all the black athletes that are playing in the WNBA, they should be backing her left and right, especially after the statements that she made earlier today, which I thought were wonderful, quite frankly.
Well, I think they should all lift each other up.
Correct.
Because the league is making progress, and that's good. But
Correct.
I did want to address Mohammed. I'm sure that's his real name, and James, and I think Charles.
Yeah.
Talk about three ignorant, pathetic idiots and sad excuses for American citizens and awful human beings.
Amen, brother.
But
amen.
The outcome of the election, Brian, putting aside the bomb threats to targeted swing state precincts and Elon's $1 million per day bribe lottery, it is absolutely not a mandate when Trump campaigned by outright denying he knew anything about Project 2025.
Oh, well, we know that's a lie.
Immediately implements it.
That's a lie. We
And
know
it's
that.
absurd.
We know that for sure. It is absurd. I'm up against the clock, my friend. I got to take a quick break, but it's good to hear from you, Jeff, and I appreciate your call. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Coming up next, his name is Professor Anthony Zenkis. Now, why do I want him on the show? Well, he's a professor at Columbia and Adelphi, obviously a smart guy. But he has been defending some of the outrage and even some people that have been positively making statements about the murder of Brian Thompson. I wanted to have a conversation with him about that. So I believe he's going to be joining us next on the show. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with him. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Greenwood Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
It's time to wake up and win the weekend. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. JP the Cat, giving you that grease. Join me every Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time for the live action on Vegas Scoreboard Express on KSHP 107.1 FM and AM 1400. Dive into the game day with my in-depth analysis, expert predictions, and winning plays from the sharpest minds in sports betting. It's more than just placing bets. It's about securing wins. Head over to JPTheTicket.com and be sure to tune in to KSHP this weekend from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time to ride the winning wave with VSX. Tune in and get your money back from the sports book. All money, all sports, no bull. Missed the live show? Subscribe to Vegas Scoreboard Express on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast and radio listening.
Get ready, football fans. The Los Angeles Rams are back, and they're hungrier than ever in the City of Angels, where stars shine bright. A new chapter unfolds on the gridiron. Buckle up, because the Rams are about to electrify the NFL. All Los Angeles Rams games can be heard right here on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM. Los Angeles Rams football, sponsored by Steiner's Pub, a true Nevada-style pub.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a very busy news day, a very busy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I haven't talked a lot today about the latest with this Luigi Maggioni character, the man who it appears as though brutally murdered Brian, the CEO of United Healthcare. Now, I said from the beginning, I'm not shedding any tears for Brian Thompson, even though I certainly would not condone this kind of violence. And the man does have kids and a family. There have been a lot of jokes on social media, a lot of memes about this guy who was not a good guy. I'm certainly willing to admit that. And we have a lot of problems with our healthcare system. My take is that we shouldn't be condoning or laughing at this murder that took place. To talk to us a little bit about this, because he's been more on the side of, the other side of it. Maybe he could explain himself a little better. His name is Professor Anthony Zanis. He's a professor over at Columbia and Adelphi. And I appreciate you, Professor, for joining us on the show today, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Sorry about the back and forth, but I'm glad it's finally working. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, Las Vegas. I'm jealous of your weather. I would like to be there right now, but
Yeah,
that's another story.
The weather here is pretty awesome. There's no question about that, Anthony. All right,
I
so
could
let me get this
imagine.
straight. Help me understand this. You've been more on this, and correct me if I'm wrong. You've been more on the side of defending the memes and maybe the jokes about this man's death. Tell me why, and tell me if I'm characterizing it correctly.
No, that's not correct. I haven't been defending memes. I've been commenting on the tenor of what's going on in response to the killing of Brian Thompson, and really using it as an opportunity to have the conversation about universal healthcare, which we need. And I mean, obviously, and I'm sure you've covered this, there's a lot of frustration across the political spectrum with these companies. And, you know, United Healthcare being the worst, having an almost 1/3 denial rate. It's just, you know, and so I saw it as an opportunity to have that conversation. And every day, and this isn't new for me, I've been posting since the research came out in 2020 or 2021 about the 68,000 Americans who die every year needlessly because of the for-profit system. So, you know, the meme, the post, it's not a tweet anymore, the post that got like millions of views that I did on December 4th basically said, today we mourn the death of Brian Thompson, the CEO of, and then I you know, ... I said, actually, today we mourn the deaths of the 68,000. And I just want to be real clear on something. Not everybody may agree with this. I'm very anti-violence. So, like, I'm also anti-gun. You know, I have my own views. I don't apologize for my views. And I think anytime anybody's shot, killed in any way, it's horrible. And when we center the death of one man, regardless of what he did in his life, over 68,000, and again, the mainstream media is not having the conversation. To me, that's a crime. And people are
listen,
obsessing about it.
Yeah. So, Professor, I think everything you've said is very legitimate, and I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said. Obviously, I think I would hope that we would agree. Anybody who glorifies this guy, Luigi Maggioni, I think is sick because Brian Thompson has kids and he doesn't have a family. However, one of the first things I said was, well, I don't condone this killing, and it's sounding to me like you don't condone it either, which I'm happy to hear. Brian Thompson was not a good guy. And I'm not afraid to talk about this on the air. He was under investigation by the DOJ for insider training. And you're absolutely right. The business practices over there at United Healthcare, I am not here to defend that. Now, what I've said, and I think we'll agree on this, Anthony, what I've said is let's turn a negative into a positive. In a way, maybe something that you're doing as well. And that let's have this conversation. Let's talk about, I mean, I had a woman, you know, who hit me up on social media the other day who said she lost her son to cancer. They had United Healthcare, and her son was not able to get the care that he needed to save his life. There are a lot of stories like that across the country, not just with United. So I'm with you on that. And I think we need to turn a negative into a positive. I just want to make sure that nobody is condoning, I'm not saying you are, but nobody is condoning this guy's death and saying that violence is the answer, and nobody is glorifying his death. I don't like the memes because this guy has kids. His kids haven't done anything wrong. But again, Brian Thompson, I don't think he was a very good guy, but we can't take matters into our own hands and start shooting people on the streets.
Agreed. And I just think it needs to be emphasized. Being the victim of a violent crime doesn't make one a saint. You know, that doesn't mean violent crime is okay. The only issue I'm going to take it with you on this is you said we can't be. People are. There are many people. I mean, we're talking Facebook, which is not a bastion of like socialist radicalism, where we're like moms and like older people there wasn't there tens of thousands of laughing emojis on the. I understand that. But I think it's wrong if we miss what's going on. Imagine that a death, and it's funny because this guy, I had never heard of him before. He wasn't a known. Some corporate heads like Jamie Dimon, we know them. Lloyd Blank, like we knew these. I'd never heard of Brian Thompson. So somebody that people had never heard about, and they're going out of their way to put a laughing emoji on the memorial death announcement that United Healthcare. I think it's a mistake to ignore the fact that so many people have so much deep-seated anger and hatred. And I'm not saying you disagree with this, but you and I can say that's in poor taste. And people who are good people are feeling this, right? And there are people that are condoning it. And I just want to talk real quickly about violence for 1 second, because I think it's sad, but we are a violent society. Our government, regardless, I understand people have differing views on Ukraine and on Israel, but from my perspective, we are always mired in some sort of battle or war where often vulnerable people, many times, but not always, like brown people or black people in parts of the world that are struggling, end up on the wrong guns that we either are holding or lately that we are applying. I've just witnessed carnage for 14 months straight in Gaza, and to hear politicians come out and say, like, we don't resort to violence, you actually do. And I think one of the problems is when violence is the language spoken by the society, it will end up inevitably being the language used to transform. I don't want that to be the case, which is why I've been working. I occupy this end of this little, rant here. I've been since 2011, when I occupied Wall Street, I've been actively working for single payer nationally and in New York. There is a bill that's still sitting in committee. The Democrats run the state. They won't let it out of committee. Same thing happened in California. Single payer shot down, completely run by Democrats. And I've been working through the system, and I will continue to do that. But if the system continues to ignore it, and people know, everyone has a horror story or knows someone with a horror story about healthcare.
Sure.
I'm surprised this hasn't happened already. And
I know there's a lot of issues with Obamacare, right? I understand a lot of people have issues. 20 million people are on Obamacare, but a big issue I have with the Republicans is Donald Trump. They keep complaining about Obamacare, but yet he has no replacement plan. He said it again the other day. I have concepts of a plan. That's my issue. The biggest issue with the Republican Party that I have, and I have many issues with the Republican Party, is that they'll bitch and complain about something and they have no solution to it, right? None, zero, no solutions with all the gun violence in this country. No solutions when it comes to our healthcare. I'm not saying the Democrats are perfect, Professor, but at least they have something in place. We can all say
I don't agree. No, I don't agree.
You think Trump
I
has
agree with the first part. Yeah. I want to go on record. Yeah, the Republicans have zero solutions to any of the problems that matter to us. Right. And I think this has been known for a while. It's comical when Trump says that. I have a concept like, come on, man, like you don't. And he didn't, by the way, if this issue mattered to Donald Trump, and I'm saying this, I'm sure you have listeners across the spectrum, to those that voted for him, if he cared about your health care, he was in office for 4 years and out of office for 4 years. He could have been working on it. He's not. He's not. Right. And so there's that. The problem is the Democrats have undermined every step of the way a push to expand to single payer. Now, there are some people who said, well, we can't do that so quickly. We should go to a public option first. Joe Biden ran on a public option, and once he got the nomination, never mentioned it once again. My problem with the Democrats is not that I don't believe there are Democrats, I do believe, that do care and want this to be. But the party itself as a whole and the leadership is firmly entrenched in corporate status quo. They will tweak the edges and say, like, listen, the ACA leaves 27 to 30 million Americans with no health care and another 50 million that are have inadequate care to the point that they can't afford to use it.
Okay, so, but can I just interject
real quick? With the Democrats, you could do these things. They don't even try and answer me this. why did Joe Biden run on a public option and then not even mention it during the campaign and not since he's been in
Well,
office?
there's
Because
no doubt that
they're not going to
that's a
change
mistake.
anything.
That's a mistake, but I would also counter by saying who is giving the biggest tax breaks to these large healthcare companies? It's not the Democrats, it's Donald Trump and the Republicans who have the biggest tax breaks.
You're
for the top
telling me the
1%.
Republicans are terrible. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I apologize.
I don't think every Republican is terrible. I think Donald Trump is a terrible
No.
person. But
I think a lot of Republicans. No, I don't mean as people. I don't care who's a good or a bad person. When it comes to the issues that matter to the working class, the Republican Party itself is terrible, and the Democrats allow it. And we had Bernie 2016, Medicare for All, energized a whole group of people.
Right. He would have been a good president.
It's a matter of it's a matter of historical record. They cheated and they colluded. I mean, that's why 4 DNC heads had to resign.
I think I would love to see Bernie Sanders be the president of the United States. I think it'd be a wonderful president.
I believe you. And so would a lot of, listen, I knew Republicans that would have voted for him. And then the interesting thing was they're like, I don't agree with him on everything, but I believe he's authentic and he's not full of, garbage. But here's the thing. You are a Democrat and a voter that I'm assuming votes Democrat consistently.
Lean to the left, independent. I did not vote for Barack Obama. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm extremely anti-Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, he's who he is. There's nothing new there. The problem is the Democratic establishment is not for universal health care. The Democrats who run California had a single payer bill, because one of the things we looked at was, and this is an important piece, I just want to get this out. If the federal government is not going to address universal care, which the ACA is not universal, right? It's better than what existed before, but it's not universal. If the federal government will do it state by state, Democrats run California, 2 branches of government. I mean, the 2 houses of their state legislature, as well as the governor's mansion, right? They own that. The bill sat in committee. Newsom ran on the single payer bill in California, and then UHC, United Healthcare, dumped a shit ton of money gave it to Newsom. Yeah, he got over $100,000 from them, I think. And then into a whole bunch of other legislators. They never talked about it, never let it out of committee. The same thing happened in New York. Every chance we have for transformational legislation, the establishment Democrats do everything they can to stop it by undermining a candidacy like they did with Bernie in 2016 or 2020, or giving so much money to a state that nothing changes. Meanwhile, listen, if this was just like, something we disagreed on but didn't have these consequences, that's one thing. You talk about 680,000 people dead in 10 years, not counting that research shows a third of all COVID deaths were due to the private insurance industry. That's over 1 million people. And my thing, I just want to talk about it. And whoever's going to listen, I'm going to listen. And my posts are meant to get engagement going and conversation going, and that's how I do it. People got pissed off, but
I think you have good intentions. It's why I wanted to invite you on. I wanted you to be able to clarify the death of Brian Thompson, which you have, and I'm happy to hear that we both agree that we should never condone violence. I'm not a big gun guy either, by the way. And that's why I wanted you on, because I do think you have good intentions, as I do. We all want everyone in this country to be, at least I do and you do, to be able to have affordable health care. And regardless of pre-existing conditions, people have a right to live their life and be happy and get the help that they need, medically speaking. I'm with you 150%. And it's an important conversation to have. And that's why I say, if Brian Thompson's murder can be used, without defending it, to start this conversation up again and get people talking about it, and maybe his death can save lives long term, then maybe that's a good thing, where we can turn a negative into a positive, right? We only got about 2 minutes left. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, I think you're that we have an opportunity right now. And I'm also concerned about those that are doing a celebritizing. It's not a word, but just made it one. The suspect or person, if it was a suspect, he's been charged. I'm not even gonna like. We don't need more celebrities. We need conversations on the 68,000 that die every year. We need conversations on the millions that have been thrown into financial ruin the past 10 years because of this system.
Uh-oh, I think we just lost you. Professor, I appreciate you coming on. It appears as though we lost, the connection was a little faulty there, but I appreciate you taking the time to join us, Professor. Thank you for jumping on with us. And I'm glad that because you, like you said, some of your tweets had millions and millions of views and tons of comments, and some people were going after you. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to come on the show and clarify, which you have. If you're just joining us, his name is Professor Anthony Zankis, who just joined us on the show. Professor at Columbia and Adelphi. Some of his tweets got millions and millions of views because some thought, based on his statements, that he was in some way condoning the murder of Brian Thompson. He's very passionate when it comes to healthcare. He was able to clarify, and I'm glad I gave him the opportunity to do so because I think his positions are actually very reasonable if you actually take the opportunity to listen to him, which is what I did on this show today. We cannot, and I say we, anybody, you shouldn't be condoning what Luigi Maggioni did. He's a nutty, crazy person who committed a horrible, heinous crime. I'm not shedding tears for Brian Thompson. My heart goes out to his family. But yeah, what about all the people there that have died in this country every day because they're not able to get the healthcare coverage that they deserve? So I think both can be right? We both can be right on this. So I appreciate the professor coming on and clarifying his remarks. I think it's really important. By the way, programming note for you, Brett Raymer, I think he's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. He owns 2 restaurants here in Vegas, and they lost their internet. They weren't able to open their restaurants today. So he's had some issues there at his restaurants at Stallone. So he'll be most likely joining us on the program tomorrow. I also want to thank my official gaming, I shouldn't say it's not my bar, but the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill located at Flamingo and Jones. They have so many great promotions this month, including the Pass the Puck contest during Vegas Golden Knights games, where you could win up to $500 in free slot play. Mondays and Wednesdays, hey, today's Wednesday, you could win a free bottle of wine for playing at their property at Jackson's. Check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill. Great food, great atmosphere, Flamingo and Jones, and tell them that I sent you. So we're continuing to monitor a lot of different stories, right? A lot of different stories we're monitoring on this show. I mentioned Nancy Mace. We'll probably get a little bit more into this story tomorrow to try to get some more information. Nancy Mace alleging that she was physically assaulted in D.C. yesterday in an office building in D.C. I think it's called the Rayburn office building. There is a man that has been arrested and taken into custody for allegedly assaulting her. I'd like to know where the video is. And listen, if this in fact did happen, I want this guy to stay in jail no matter how much I can't stand Nancy Mace and throw away the key. But Nancy Mace is also somebody that I question. She's somebody that I don't believe when it comes to anything. Why? Because she goes back on her word, and I think she's a liar. I'm not saying this didn't happen. I'm just saying I want proof. Just because somebody was arrested isn't proof. Is there video in this building? I would imagine there's cameras everywhere. If she was physically assaulted, I want to see the video. That's all I'm saying. I think that's pretty fair. All right. So in closing, I will say this. We are an independently owned radio show. Because we're an independently owned radio show, we rely on good people like you to support what we do. The first thing I would ask you to do is go on my YouTube page and subscribe. It's free. We just passed 50,000 subscribers overnight. I am so grateful, man. If you had told me 4 months ago that I'd have 50,000 subscribers to YouTube, I'd be jumping on a trampoline. So I'm really excited for that. And I have all of you to thank for it. Everybody that's involved in this show, that listens every day, that calls in every day, whether you like me or hate me, you're all part of what we're doing here. And I appreciate all of you, even those who call in and call me a clown. I appreciate you too. So go to my website, pushingthelimits.live. Pushingthelimits.live. We sell merchandise on there, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it. We sell at affordable prices. But if you don't want to do that, the easiest thing to do, we have a donate button right on the front page. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We greatly appreciate it. Every dollar is going to be used to help us put together this show every day. So please check it out, pushingthelimits.live, where you can support what we do and subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm also on Blue Sky at PTL Radio Show pretty much everywhere. YouTube, on X, and on Blue Sky. I'm almost at like 10,000 followers on Blue Sky. I haven't been extremely interactive on there, and that's my fault. I'll be more interactive on there, but I already have almost 10,000 followers. I've only been on there for less than a month. So I'm very appreciative. People are very nice on there as well. Unlike X, where there's bigotry and hatred every step you go. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Appreciate all of you. PushingTheLimits.live. Have a great rest of your day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763